For just £5 a month, you can get early access to all of our podcast episodes, copies of our script, access to further information, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. Head over to patreon.com/Sunday Night Mystery. £5 a month. That's cheaper than 15 minutes of parking at Bristol Airport. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Welcome back to Sunday Night Mystery, where once again we immerse ourselves into some of the most intriguing unsolved cases. I'm Brett, and tonight we delve into the chilling case of a bloodstained car and a man dumped in Bristol docks. Our story begins in the year 1984. Mark Yendell was a British rail steward. He was reported missing after he failed to return home from work one fateful night in September. His disappearance sparked a harrowing investigation that would uncover a trail of blood and deceit. Mark Yendell was a 33-year-old father from Gatehouse Avenue, Withywood in Bristol. He vanished after finishing his shift at Bristol Temple Meads railway station. The discovery of his abandoned car near the Welsh Back waterfront, stained with blood, hinted at a grim fate. Frogmen began to search the 14 foot of water in Bristol docks, and it soon became obvious that the blood around his abandoned T-registration red Lancia car was not the only indication of foul play. Detectives were said to have found a briefcase containing £100 of cash in the back of the car, which had been found unlocked with the keys in the ignition by a security man working nearby. Detectives soon found more clues, bloodstains in the car and another pool of blood near the station. A post-mortem showed that Mr. Yendell had died of serious head injuries before he was thrown into the water. It was clear that Mark Yendell had met a violent end. Despite their efforts, investigators struggled to find a motive for the murder. Mr. Yendell's colleagues described him as a reserved man, leading to speculation about his social circles and personal life. Detectives came up with the theory that the chief steward on the Paddington to Weston-super-Mare train that evening had arrived back to Bristol at 9:10 p.m. on the Monday night and gone to his car to return home. It was in the car park that he was attacked before his body bundled into the back seat and taken to Welsh Back and dumped in the dock. Investigations by police soon led to his body being found in the water at the Bristol City docks. As the investigation progressed, a breakthrough seemed imminent and 7 individuals were arrested, including Edward Witt, a friend of Mark Yendell's wife. Detectives began to focus on Bournemouth. It was understood that Mr. Yendell's wife Susan had moved there to run a pub with the former manager of the Rising Sun in Hartcliffe, Edward Witt. But after a year-long separation from her husband, Susan returned from Bournemouth to Bristol, with Mr. Witt following a few weeks later. The married couple reunited and had been back together for around 6 weeks when Mr. Yendell was beaten to death and dumped in the docks. 6 of those arrested were released without charge, but Mr. Witt, then 43 and living in Knowle, was charged with the murder, just 10 days after the investigation into Mark Yendell's death began. Mr. Witt was held in prison on remand until the December when, during the same week as Mr. Yendell's funeral was held, all charges were dropped, leaving the case shrouded in mystery. Susan was also convinced of Mr. Witt's innocence and told reporters Eddie and Mark were friends, not enemies. Police initially believed there were two assailants. A spokesman for the murder squad said at the time, Mr. Yendell was a very well-built man, and it would have had to be another big man to lift his body in and out of the car and throw him into the dock. Even with the passage of time, this case remains unsolved. Detectives continue to pursue leads, hoping to bring closure to Mark Yendell's family and uncover the truth behind his tragic death. But for now, the unsolved murder remains one of Britain's many haunting mysteries. A heartbreaking reminder of a life cut short and a family left searching for answers. But the case leaves so many unanswered questions. In the Crime Watch reconstruction, another porter resembling Mark is shown passing two male passengers. One of those passengers remarks, "That's him." For the rest of the journey, the two passengers seem to watch the porter and his colleague closely, while the porters remained suspicious. Could it be that Mark was mistakenly identified as someone else by these two men? Was Mark Yendell simply a victim of mistaken identity? Two stewards with similar moustaches on two trains on the same day. Both stewards looked remarkably alike. Were these two passengers the killers? Was it a case of mistaken identity? Surely not. It appears as though someone was waiting for Mark to get off of that particular train. It's as though they knew his movements that night. So, the lingering question, who killed Mark? And what could the motive possibly be? What does the £100 in a briefcase mean? There are claims that Mark Yendell's wife, Susan, and her little girl, Alex, later left Bristol for an undisclosed location due to a fear for their lives. But why? What was Susan so afraid of? And who? Reports suggest that fraud was commonplace on the railway service during this time due to poor management. Could Mark have somehow become involved in something that got out of hand? Did he see something or threaten to report someone, ultimately sealing his own fate? There's so many questions left unanswered. Questions that would probably never be answered. Join us next time as we delve into another chilling mystery that continues to confound investigators and haunt communities. Until then, stay vigilant and never forget those who've been lost to the shadows. Thank you for tuning in to Sunday Night Mystery. If you have any information regarding the case of Mark Yendell, please contact your local authorities. Just perhaps together we can help bring closure to those left behind. For in the darkest of nights, it's only the light of hope that can guide us forward towards a future where justice prevails and shadows fade away. As we reflect on this haunting case, we're reminded of the importance of never giving up hope and seeking justice for those that can no longer speak for themselves. Join us next time for another episode of Sunday Night Mystery, journey once again into the mysteries of the night, where the ever-evolving science of DNA might just hold answers and bring secrets to light. Until next week, stay safe, and remember, the truth may be hidden, but as long as we keep the investigation alive, it's never truly lost. I'm Brett, and I'll see you next time on Sunday Night Mystery. For now, stay curious, stay vigilant, and be sure to guard yourself against the darkness that surrounds us all. I'll see you next week on Sunday Night Mystery.
him.